Hey there. Why do bad things happen in the Bible? Well, that's a big question. Why do bad things happen in life? They happen all the time, every day. Sometimes there's just way too much tragedy. I think everybody really expects there to be hard times and difficulties, but not like we got. So what does the Bible say about it? Well, Jesus said that in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. Now, I really can't answer this question fully, and I definitely can't answer it quickly, but I can speak on some stories in the Bible that talk about all these bad things happening and essentially what led to people's destinies, what they did during these things. I think it's probably a good framework to look at the Bible with. So let's just start from the top. Why was Eve tempted? That's kind of a bad thing, right? Temptation. Why did she succumb to the temptation? I mean, that's a bad thing for Adam. And then, why was Adam tempted? Why did Adam succumb? Started this whole thing off on the wrong foot. People love to say, why did God do this? They love to question the morality of God, but they never see that, God really, He's in everything. Jesus says that He can make the rocks praise. The consciousness of God is in all of us. When we're born again, the Holy Spirit comes and lives in us, seals us, keeps us, protects us, even unto death. But if that's true, why do all these bad things happen all the time? The way that I like to envision it, when I dream, and I don't know how often you dream, I'm normally lucid. I don't really like lucid dreaming all the time because it's just tiring. I started lucid dreaming because of nightmares. I used to have these nightmares as a kid. Big, scary, Ghostbuster-looking dogs would come after me, trying to eat me, and they would eat me. And I mean, it's a horrible dream. You feel that, kind of wrenching, in the pit of your stomach. And it would just be night after night after night. And then finally one night, I'm having the dream, and I'm a little kid. And I realize, oh no, not again. I've done this before, not again. I've been here before. And that was the beginning of me becoming lucid. Eventually, I tried to change, my actions in the dream to escape. And it helped a little bit. I was able to last longer in the nightmare before getting torn to shreds. And then I realized that in the dream, if I closed my eyes, I could open them here in the real world, right? And then from that time on, anytime I was overstimulated in a dream, too much fear, too much horror, well, I just wake up. Eventually, over the years, I started becoming more aware even in dreams that weren't nightmares. And I started to be able to experiment more and learn different skills. And now as an adult, if I'm fully lucid in a dream, I'm unstoppable. But even being fully in control and fully aware, I still can't control people within my own dream. Now, it's supposed to be in my head, my world. I, in the dream, am like a god, small g, right? That's my world. These are my creations. I mean, at least according to what science says. So let's just go with that. Why can't I control them? Well, they have their own free will. They're alive in a way. Really in the purest way. I cannot make them change their mind. Now, I could destroy them. I could force them, maybe. I could do all kinds of things, I could be a dictator, but I can't make them feel something. I can't make them choose something. I can't make them even go up a staircase if they don't want to go up a staircase. I could grab them and throw them up the stairs for whatever reason. I could just vaporize them, but it's not the same thing as wanting them to walk up the stairs and then walking up the stairs. So I just say that to say, I wonder sometimes if this life is like that. What if we're all in God's dream? And He's just walking around and He's like, I'm God. And we're like, yeah, sure, buddy. But I'm not going to do what you tell me to do because I got free will. Well, I think that's really the problem. Adam and Eve had free will. We all have free will. And all of us have done something that God didn't want us to do. Nobody, with the exception of Jesus, gets a pass on that. And that's really why bad things happen. So, from a very basic standpoint, because we rebel against God. We don't do what He wants us to do. Let me put it like this. If I, as a Christian, am walking along and I hear God very clearly tell me, hey, I want you to go introduce yourself, say hello to this person, and I don't do it, what is that? What is that? Well, it's sin, but it's just me being rebellious and me exerting my own authority, independence, free will, and choice. But what are the consequences of that? Well, to me, it doesn't seem like a whole lot. But what about to the person I was supposed to talk to? What were they going to do tonight that I might have stopped by talking to them? We don't know. And maybe it's not that heavy. Maybe it's just as simple as your kindness being multiplied by God, coming through you to him, and then to someone else, so on and so forth. And, these good things that we can do that affect people, they do obliterate a little bit of the bad. And if everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, if everybody woke up tomorrow on the same page and said, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not going to do things that hurt people that I know that God wouldn't want me to do. If everybody was on the same page, well, we wouldn't be perfect, but the world would be a lot better. But free will really gets in the way of no bad things happening, because this world, it's not a restricted club. It's more like a madhouse. We've got all kinds of different opinions, different belief systems, different spirits. So what about, let's just talk about disease. What about disease? Why does that happen? Well, there's all kinds of reasons, right? There's all kinds of biological reasons why it happens. Let's just talk from a standpoint of one CEO from one chemical company that doesn't dispose of their chemicals properly. And then those chemicals contaminate the environment and works its way to the water system or to the food system or into the air, and it affects all of us. Well, that's one thing that causes disease, right? And again, you could originate that to that individual not following what God's telling him to do. God's not going to tell him to dump his toxins in the river, for example. What I think that we need to really consider is if we're doing what God tells us to do and coming under authority, there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be open to us. I mean, sometimes I go down the street and I see a car and it's some classic car and it's just sitting there waiting. And I know the owner has the same thought process that I do. That car has a lot of potential because I got one of those. It's not a classic car, but it's sitting there waiting. But we all have potential. And the more we submit to God, the more that potential is used, the more opportunities we get. So let's just say you have an opportunity within you to create cures for diseases, to create cures for pollution, to make the world safer, healthier. So you still have free will. And also, those around you have free will. And if let's say they don't do what God's telling them to do, and that affects you, and then it makes it harder for you, not impossible maybe, but harder. And then it's going to take longer. And then you don't do what God's telling you to do. And the downstream effect of you not reaching your potential is some of these, great things not ever becoming, made public, not created, not invented, not fought for, not championed, not propagated, not implemented. Wherever it is along this chain, you're a link in it, and you're important. You're valued. Your potential matters. People are coming after you. You have a purpose. Even if there's nobody really in your life, your actions are going to leave an imprint on this world, just like your inactions will. So I think we need to be aware that, number one, bad things come from basically not listening to God.